Back in 2015, my mum was stabbed to death by her boyfriend. It was a pain that it's actually indescribable. The pain that you feel, and then what I did is I took to self-harm because I just wanted that pain just to go away. He took my mum away from me, he also took me away from my son, and it wasn't until later on that I realised that he's an everlasting impact of the crime that I committed because of what had happened to me. And obviously I look at him now and I just think I nearly let somebody take away what was taken away from me. So he's an everlasting impact on what I did, and that's why I mean it's a ripple effect. The lack of support after the trial had finished, and I just felt quite alone, and there wasn't anybody that I could go to that was relatable to tell me that how I was feeling at the time is okay to feel that way. So I just wanted to make a change and bring together all the perpetrators, victims, like myself, and the families of the perpetrator together to try and join forces to actually bring comfort to one another, and just to sit there and say that how you're feeling is totally fine, it is expected, and just to guide you through the pain and grief that you actually feel from such a traumatic incident.
The collapse, I saw everything. I saw the tent and CID, and there was a crowd of people, ambulances, fire engines. Like I said, I woke up on set here a couple of hours later, and then I had to go and ID the next day. It doesn't just affect me as a victim, it affects everybody else involved, whether it be their parent or their friend, or it could be a school colleague. It affects millions of people, not just one person. Me and his mother, we've both lost children. She will never be the same again. She's lost, whether her son is still alive, but she's lost him, because now he's stereotyped now. He is the person who took somebody's life, and that's the reason why I would rather have a dead son than somebody who's took somebody's life, because to have that on your conscience, it can't be easy. And for her as a mother, I mean, I feel bad for her, even though I'm the one who's lost a child. So God only knows how she feels for me. It's just a human being. Society, the way of living, plagues on these children, on these persons, that make them do the things that they've done to end up in the place that they've ended up.
I kind of was raised by different parts of my family from the age of 5. My mum died. A lot to do with domestic violence and tuberculosis as well. So from that age I kind of had to grow up defending myself, and without any help from people outside of the family, should I say, organisations if you must. There was no mentoring, no psychology or nothing to address the issues of losing my parents. So it kind of just led me on to getting involved in crime. So around the age of 11, 12, I was deep in gangs and everything in St Anne's. By the age of 15, I was already serving a sentence, which continued for years and years. And every time I come out of jail, it was coming back out to be on my own and deal with it on my own again. And even going to probation and things like that, back then it was go to probation, I'd be there 5 minutes and I'd leave. There was no one helping me to find accommodation, no one helping me to find work, no one helping me to get money, nothing. So repeatedly my life was come out of jail, go back to jail, because I'd do crime to defend, look after myself. Violent crimes, I got kidnaps, drugs, everything really. It doesn't just stop. I'd done what I had to do to survive, so if something I came across something, I'd do it. You know, and if someone tried to talk to me because I was on the road the wrong way, then I'd violently. But a lot of it was because of what I lost when I was a child, and it was never addressed as I was growing up. So like I had family who would speak to me about it, but when you're in that kind of life, your family don't really, you kind of push them away purposely. Because you don't want to hurt your family at the same time. You don't want them too close to be involved in what you're doing. Because I didn't draw my family was never involved with me. I done things with man on the road and whatever. I never brought my family into it. You get me? So it was more, I tried to push them away all the time, especially because of losing my parents. I didn't really like people close to me either. Where if someone would have spoke to me about that then, who wasn't a family member and wasn't close to me, then it could have been something what I got dealt with. These children who are getting arrested at them ages aren't getting dealt, they're not getting spoke to, no one's taking them aside and trying to find out what the problem is, what's happening at home. Because that is a major part of people who are joining gangs. They're joining gangs because they haven't got that family unit. And a gang is a family unit to them. And then you've got the other adults who are grooming them. I was one of them children who were groomed by an older adult to go out and sell drugs. So I see where it came from, and no one is addressing them actual issues. So you address a family unit and give them something to look to and people to look forward to who's going to talk to them, they're going to understand him and relate to him, then he's going to find a way out. But without that, you'll never find a way out of anything. I couldn't find a way out because I didn't have no one to look to or talk to properly. Prison was easy. To be truthful, prison, I spent altogether 13.5 years in jail. It's not easy in the way where you're there and it's a simple life, because it's not. It's a hard life. You miss your family if you're close to them, and you miss the things what you have on road. The easy part of jail is you don't have to do nothing. You can sit in your cell day in, day out, go to sleep, do what you want. I believe you will not stop crime on the outside until you stop the same thing happening on the inside, because it's a school of crime, innit? What they're supposed to do is apply courses to you, and like we'll talk about restorative justice, everyone's supposed to have that. There's not no one who's supposed to be able to shy away from facing what they've done to their victims.
It is young females too, and they are one of the worst. I have seen 15 to 20 kids turn up at my front door, and every single time that they've done that, it has been led by girls. And these girls are relentless, as well as boys. They get the boys to do things that they don't want to do, and so stuff like that, they are very intimidating, and a lot of people do miss that these girls have a lot of pressure on the boys to actually get things done as well. It's not just young black males, it is young females, it's young white males, it's every race you can possibly think of that is on this. And it's not anything to do with the colour or the race or postcodes or anything like that. It is to do with the education system and the society that we're living in. Social media is probably one of the main places that it does start. Obviously in my incident with my daughter, these people didn't even know my daughter. They didn't know what she looked like until they added her on social media, and that's where it started. So for me, parents don't understand how social media works. Certain age parents don't understand how certain media works. You've got the likes of Snapchat. It disappears within minutes if that's what you want it to do. So, mentally it is upsetting every single child out there.
And this is the problem when you've got negativity being constantly pushed in people's faces. Now it's just being normalised for them, and that to me is a huge issue. With regards to my children, the things that I worry about is a lot of the time some young people aren't even involved in a situation, but because of who they associate with or who they talk to or who they know, they get dragged in. And that was always my biggest fear, because I always had my children and educated my children not to get involved and know how to handle situations. And I know there's a lot of parents who don't have the time, and some parents just don't do it, don't communicate with the child and check in with the child, what's happening in their lives. And me and my missus, we do that with our children. But I've had situations where my daughter, in trying to protect one of her friends who came to school with a knife, and she was like, "You're an idiot." She told him off, she put him in his place, and she says, right, she took the knife from him and she hid the knife, and she could, "Don't ever bring that back to school." But somebody saw what she had done and what she'd done and where she put the knife, told the teacher, and she got in trouble and the boy got into trouble. But then the teacher realised that she was trying to do a good thing. But it's those sort of situations where you can get involved and get caught up in the mix, and that's always been my biggest concern for my children. I didn't want them around getting caught up in the mix.